Testing, testing. Hey, everybody. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Zazoo Plazz here for my Sunday Zazoo report for February 12th, 2023. Super Bowl 57, which is, it happens to be, it's always my age. Every year, because I think this first one was in like 66 or something, and I was born at the very end of 65. So whatever year Super Bowl it is, oh, and there's the plane, hi! Whatever year Super Bowl it is, it's my age. That's pretty cool, huh? How did I do that? Magic! Magic. It was kind of like a neat little escape. My husband came home with we always get number 9 steak sandwiches, steak and cheese this year for Philadelphia. Not that I'm taking sides. And my son he's home from college. He's going to go over his friend's house to watch the rest of the game, but they were, eating. I'll have my sandwich when I go back. Hopefully it's still there waiting for me. Oh man, with the chips, we do the same thing every year. Well, some years I used to cook. I used to make things like sausage and peppers. This year we just don't have time because of what's going on. It's funny, the numbers of LV11. It's like live. L is 50, and then 5 and 2 ones, 7. Cool. So yeah, there's a lot going on. And this hat, you know how like midwinter you start getting itchy, the wool starts getting itchy, and you're just, yeah. If there isn't snow, it's like, okay, now what? So it's good. It's not raining, it's not snowing, it's like, maybe 40, 45 degrees out here. It's not bad. It's actually kind of nice for a change, and a little itchy, but. So I made a few notes, and we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done today. Oh. So yeah, the kid's going back. He's going to go back to school in the morning. The other one was home, my older son. So, oh yeah, he had to get his hair cut, and every now and then he'll come home. He wanted to visit his grandma, his babci. That's Polish for grandmother. My husband's mom, my mother-in-law, is she hasn't been feeling too well, and so she's, they went to see her. Both boys, my husband went to see her this weekend in her place where she's resting and healing, and sending much love to her. And so it's busy. It's, my dad sends me a text this morning, and this is okay. If you're like around my age, or maybe you've been through this already, or maybe you still have to go through this. Maybe you're lucky enough to have your parents. I got my dad, and I'm thankful every day. But he goes to church. He's one foot in the new world. He's doing all his music. He's excited, right? He's got, but he's got things he's looking forward to, which keeps him young. And then at the same time, he's got to maintain the world he and my mom, grew up in and brought me up in. And, it's tough because he's got to, he's maintaining the house in the same house I grew up. And I think a lot of my classmates from school are in the same kind of position, It's like your kids are either in college, or if you had kids early, they're out of college, and it's like, oh man, so-and-so's got grandkids already. I still got one in college. It's like my dad said the other day. We had a nice chat, and he says, we don't talk often because he's not a phone chatty person. But if we talk, it's usually in the phone because, texting with an 85-year-old man is like, you send them a text, right? And then maybe a week later you get an answer, and it's like a letter. It's like, hi Les, and then the information, so and so. I was at church, I heard so and so, your classmates, mom passed away, and here's the funeral information, and I just thought I'd let you know, and lots of love, and then love, Dad, like it's a letter. It's like signs of that. I know it's you, Dad, but it's cute, right? So, so that's what I woke up to this morning. Is he let me know. So because I grew up. I was in you're in a parish, right? You grew up Catholic in Connecticut, and at the time, it's closed now, but at the time our parish, St. Christopher, it's before all the parishes kind of crammed all together and got rid of this one and that one and it was consolidated like a big snowball. You know, there were thriving parishes because my parents' generation, they were joiners. They went to this and that. They were involved in community big time. So, they all knew each other, this one and that one and that. So this particular classmate, he's like, oh yeah, I know you went to school with him. And MV, I do remember him. And then, you have to look up your classmate and see what they've been up to and, he's an actuary, some insurance company, 9 times out of 10, they're working for an insurance company, in actuarial science or, IT or something. This particular guy I went to school with in middle school, very smart and athletic and popular and everything. And then you start remembering, oh yeah, that's right. He had twin sisters that were younger than us, and it's all sort of, it comes back to you. And then you read the obituary of the parent, and you realize how, much alike we all are. Like that we went to this, parish, but there was a school attached, is what I was trying to say, and. Not only did we go to that parish, but then the parents were also supporting the church, the school. It was like 5 through 8, and we all went there. We went from, either you went to the public middle school or you went to the Catholic middle school. And then you could either go to the town high school or you could go to the Catholic high school that I went to. I forget if he went. I think he went to the town high school. But I mean, this particular kid I grew up with, he was like walking distance to the church. You could, and you knew where everybody lived. Like you can drive by and you're like, that was so-and-so's house, and that was so-and-so's house, and she went out with him, and they were friends or whatever because they lived next door and they were, boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. I mean, it was middle school. People didn't, it was, anyway. So, you start getting this flood of memories. At least I do, And then you see how people, turned out. Why do we wait until people die to look up our classmates? Because life gets in the way, people, and then they've got kids, and then now it's like he's got a grandkid. Come on, grandkid? I got a long way to go. I can't handle that right now. Anyway, it's like my dad said. It's like you're playing a game. I still got one. You got to get one home around the board. He said, oh, you like to play Parcheesi when you were a kid. He said, I hated Parcheesi. This is my dad. He said, well, he said, but I played it with you, but I didn't like it. And you love Parcheesi, And I said, well, when you're an only child, you don't have anybody to play games with. You have to get friends to play with you or play by yourself or get a parent. And my dad wasn't, at certain games he would always beat me at Chinese checkers. But if he didn't enjoy it, he wasn't going to engage in it. You know what I mean? My dad, and you could tell he didn't want to, play with you. He wasn't into it. So I would just go off and, play games. So my oldest son came home this weekend, and I caught him playing chess with his brother, who beat him. My younger son beat my older son at chess. I'm like, this is great. They're sitting at the kitchen table laughing, and playing chess. Like, this is like the best of all worlds. My boys are playing chess. And, old-fashioned chess, not stress. Not like, my son Ben, he plays chess. There's an app, apparently. Of course there is. There's a chess app that you can play against the bot. I said, wouldn't that be cool? If I had had a bot to play games with when I was growing up, I wouldn't have had to play with my dad. I could have played the, Parcheesi bot or whatever. And I would have beat that robot. Anyway. But yeah, when my son was home, my oldest son, he says, we had pizza, and then he's like, oh, he always flops down on the couch and turns the TV on and watches a movie with us, with my husband mostly, because the two of them are like, this. They like, because Virgo and Pisces, they get along, So they're hanging out, and they watch this movie called The Menu with Ralph Fiennes, I think his name is Fiennes. It's Fiennes, brilliant actor, and a great cast. And John Leguizamo is in it, and all these funny people. It was like a mystery comedy kind of a thing. And I won't tell you, but I definitely recommend it. But it was a little dark. I have to warn you though, it's a little bit dark. But these are the kinds of movies, because my son's a foodie. And this particular movie has to do with the food and a chef and a restaurant and people who come to the restaurant. So this morning I get up and I turn to my Khalil Gibran. It opens to food and drink. Tell us about food and drink. And I said, wow, that's perfect. That's a perfect theme, for today. Because it's Super Bowl Sunday and everybody's drinking and eating. That's what it's about. Even the announcer at the game is like, let's see, when I came out here, I think it was tied. It was 1-1. But everybody gathers, and I said, what an occasion the Super Bowl is. It's like one of the few times anymore where everybody in the world, well, in the U.S., is watching the same thing at the same time. That never happens anymore. Everybody's streaming, watching every different thing. Nobody, you get your news from a million different places. But the Super Bowl, you've got to watch, right? And I got to get back to watch Rihanna the halftime. And so that should be interesting. I saw that she had some kind of a snake on her head. I like her. So we'll see. We'll see what. It's always interesting. I love the halftime show. I'm such a girl, right? Such a female. I like to watch the football too, because I got boys, So I love the competitive spirit of it. And, and whatever is new or different, this year, the quarterbacks are making history. First, I guess, African-American quarterbacks playing against each other, so that's awesome. Whatever, makes it new or different from the year before. It's cool to check out. And of course the commercials, which I actually haven't seen any of the commercials yet. Sometimes you catch them online, but I don't like to spoil it. The old days like, I don't know, before all the internet stuff, early 2000s maybe, you had to wait to watch the game to see the commercials. Or definitely when I was growing up, you had to. So anyway, so I'm thinking food, drink, and then I looked at the scripture for today. Fire and water, duality, judgment. It's like that tarot card. I didn't draw a tarot card, but it's got that flavor to it, right? Fire, so Chiron's in Aries, and water, all that Pisces. And then, air, well, there's a lot of Aquarius going on. But, you've got fire, and water. It's like me and my son. He's an Aries, I'm a Scorpio. And then you've got boiling water, right? And that's what you can use to cook with. But, it's symbolic. Fire, fire is, talking about the Spirit, right? The Holy Spirit, the flames. It's all symbols of the Holy Spirit. So one of the themes in that movie, the menu that I saw, was, one thing the chef said was when he was serving the food, he said, "I would ask you to one thing: don't eat." He said, "Don't just eat. You know, you have to look at it as a sacred thing, right? Give thanks for this food and acknowledge the fact that something was sacrificed so that you can eat it, so that you can breathe and live, right?" So that's kind of interesting, right? And the food, the food aspect can be viewed as the Spirit, the Word. So before I get in too deep here, eye has not seen or ear has not heard God's love through the Spirit. It's going to be a surprise, right? Oh, I love surprises. So, how should I go about this? Yeah, so the song, and I heard this the other day. We've got the gin blossoms today. Now, those of you who might not know the gin blossoms, they were like mid-90s when I was first dating my husband. Around that time, they came out. I guess the song Allison Road, and it's stuck. It's alternative rock, right? It's kind of, it's Gen X-y, it's around the grunge time. Written by Robin Wilson. And this was his, big break, He's like, up until then, the band wasn't really, the other guys were writing, and he was kind of, there. But this was his big song. This is, got him really into the band, more than taken seriously, So he was driving somewhere in Texas, and he sees this exit sign for Allison Road, and he said, "Oh, that's like, my friend's sister's name is Allison. And my cousin's name is Allison. But I haven't seen her in years. She runs a bakery up in Portland." So if you're ever up in Portland, Maine, it's the Standard Baking Company. She's an amazing baker. And she's been there, for years. I haven't seen her since I was a teenager. I don't think she even knows who I am. I went up, we were on vacation in Portland, Maine a few years ago. And we stopped by. She didn't know I was coming, but she wasn't there. We stopped by for breakfast with the boys. And we ordered, some, bread and croissants. They, a lot of people go and take out, they have all kinds of muffins and breads, but it's healthy. And she's received awards, and she's got a website. So that's my cousin. And she's got her own business. I don't know how much she's there anymore. I'd love to see her sometime, but we did meet her husband when we went up there, but, I haven't seen her since I was probably 14 years old at my cousin's wedding up in, where we were? Well, we were in Connecticut, and my grandmother was still alive. So this is on my dad's side, the Bilodeau side of the family. So, I wanted to just give a shout out to my cousin Allison, and she's the one whose hand-me-downs I was wearing, because she's like 5 years older than me. So I got her little red and black, plaid dress, and there's a picture of me sitting on the stairs at my house in this little dress with the white collar. It's a little out of style by, the time I was probably, 3 or 4 years after she wore it, and it was a little, but, girls who were born around the same time as she was had those kind of dresses, and I just gave it to me for some reason. But, so I started wearing secondhand thrift clothes when I was like 2 or 3. And I'm holding my little dolly, Elizabeth, at a classic pictures, and I had little white socks, and, that's how they dressed us back then. But anyway, I don't remember much about Allison. She kind of left home when I was young and took off and, didn't really look back. So, but she's turned out all right, apparently. So anyway, and her mom is Aunt Georgia that I write about in the book. So anyway, so the other day, I'm telling a little story. I went to an eye appointment back near my dad's house, and there's this road called Addison Road, and I'm like, oh, I know where it is. My eye doctor's in a brand new building, and I had the stupid GPS on, and I drove right by. Because I was listening to the GPS, I didn't see it. The lady had told me, oh, it's across from this school. And, I drove right by these beautiful white buildings. I didn't know they were in there. There was no sign. But I felt it. I said, oh, that would be a good place to put it. I talked. Sure enough, that was it. But then the stupid thing kept redirecting me to where my dad had said he thought it was. So I have to go all around the block. And I did that twice. Until I turned off the darn phone and I started using my intuition. And I said, oh, wait a minute. So I said, this is the only place it could be. Sure enough, it was down around this back and the side. And they wouldn't allow, a sign or anything. Anyway, so, eye has not seen, ear has not heard. So, in other words, there's no physical sign at the road for this place, right? But I knew it was there. I knew it was there. Something told me, oh, and there's the plane.